So I believe we're live now. So hi,
Okay.
uh,
Good.
good, good,
Hello.
good, good day, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you for joining. Indeed, it's going to be an amazing session, and we're just having a little setup to do before we get right into the conversation that we have for tonight. Okay, so basically, I'm having a small group, and in this small group, I am basically uh, getting to help young people to find their bearing in life and getting to mentor them to let them know uh, how to navigate through life. So some of those things that they probably would come across are the things that we had passed through. And if I know anyone really gone through, uh, who has really gone through some difficult, challenging situation and has been able to come out of it, it will be none other person than Mr. Temitope. I call him Tokpe, or we call him Topsman. So, however, it's going to be an amazing discussion and conversation tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from, if it be from YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram, whatever platform you're joining us from, you're welcome. Thank you so much for accepting to be with us today. And I want to start with the first question, basically, just to get to know you for this meeting. If someone is meeting you for the very first time, how would you describe yourself? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone over there, wherever you might be joining us at this particular day, time. I'm very much aware that we're on a different time zone. Like where I am presently is exactly 5 p.m. So, straight to the question that I'm being asked. If I'm being asked to let me just tell you about myself or who I am. Well, I am Temitope by name, and currently work as a therapist. Currently I live in the UK, and one thing fascinating about me is that I am a very focused person. Let me just put it by saying that, and I really love people that take life serious. And this has been something about me over the years. And one of my I do play, so that maybe I will not say you shouldn't play as someone who is focused. I'm a Man United fans, and any day, anytime, I'm always in red. But permit me, I've been in UK now, going to 4 years. But guess what? I've not even been to the stadium, and I live in the northwest, which is just 35 minutes to the stadium. And I've been at Anfield a number of times. But don't worry, you will get to know why I've not been there over the years, and so many things about me. What I will just tell you at this point is just stay glued to your microphone because you will definitely hear a lot as we dive into it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. I mean, you guys are already beginning to see the level of seriousness when it comes to life and approach to life. But before we even get to some of those things and dig deeper, I just want to also ask, what was it like growing up for you? What was your childhood like? What was the environment you grew up in? What was it like? I know, of course, right now you're in a different climate and environment and all of that, but what was it like growing up?
Thank you very much. That's another question. That's a very huge question. You know, I let me start by saying that I actually come from a place whereby you know you can't even think that any or anybody or this guy could amount to anything. That's what my background was just like. Someone who came from a low-income African family whereby, going to school was even a tedious thing. The first graduate from a family, the first person who would travel outside the country from a family. And should I even, I will not even say family, from a lineage, is a lot of odds, a place whereby you don't even have someone you're looking up to. It is just all about yourself. It is, there is nobody you can draw from, like you can tap from. You know, Growing up was a bit challenging, walking miles to school, there was no money to even go to private school. So it was all about government school. And you know what it means when, you are the one who always do things by yourself, such that because of the challenges you face in school, you have to, probably look for ways to get yourself mentored, like going for extra lessons, by yourself. Not that maybe you have someone, or maybe an elder brother or a parent who is going to do it for you. So growing up was a bit tedious. It was a lot of odds, a lot of challenges. I must be honest with you. Growing up wasn't something as easy as it is today. But one thing is very special. One thing about me over the years and right from childhood, uh, I've never had any reason to give up, and I've never at one time have a doubt about who I am or what I'm going to be. It has always been decades of grinding, decades of not giving up. So childhood was a bit challenging. It was a lot of hell, and I must be honest with you. eh, we never had that luxury of okay, going on vacation, luxury of someone who is going to give you something, so luxury of someone who is going to maybe make life a bit easier for you in terms of maybe donation, in terms of maybe guiding you, holding your hand on what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. No, it was all about doing it by yourself. No, this is not me alone. I've someone who has always understood what was ahead of him, in terms of tapping from the source. And when I mean source, I'm talking about God here. So he has always been the rock right from the onset. And finally, I will just tell you something. And what will I tell you is basically when you actually know where you are going to, there is no amount of odds that comes your way that that will wither you or make you look hopeless. So in a nutshell, growing up was a lot of air. It was tedious, it was hectic, a lot of challenges, families, you know poverty which was ravaging here and there, situation whereby you have something to eat today, you don't even have tomorrow. And so those were actually what growing up was all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's quite touching. That's really touching. And whilst you were speaking, I wanted to dig deep and dig down into some of those challenges. You made mention of several challenges there. And I know that these are some of the misconceptions. When people see someone successful today, they tend to think that the person never went through anything. And from what you're saying that you went through a lot of challenges. You talked about poverty, but I would like you to just narrow in on some of those things. Can you kind of give me some of the biggest challenges you faced while growing up? What are some of the? I want to believe that you had your parents at the time. So yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges you yes?
Thank you very much for that question. This is basically an opportunity, a privilege to tell you what's growing up in terms of the challenges. One of the major challenges I would pinpoint out was basically, poverty. And when I'm talking about poverty, situation whereby, you were in school, and paying school fees, paying tuition was hectic. It's got to a point that you'll be like, how are you going to make it? How long will this continue? Let me cite an example. When I was in primary 4, going to primary 5, I was asked to pay for, in our school in those days, we pay for development levy, we pay for, we don't pay tuition fee in government school. So we pay the development levies and one other fee like that. And the summation of this money we are talking about was not even up to 2,000. I think it was 1,500 then. And guess what?
We're not saying
Our parents
1,500.
couldn't even come up with it.
We're saying
And
1,500 naira.
I mean 1,500 naira, which is not even up to $1 in today's exchange rate. So they couldn't even come to 1,500. But will you say because your parents couldn't come up with 1,500, you're going to disrespect them, or you're going to give up on life, or you stop trying? No. On this, in this kind of situation, they will send us home. They will say, if you cannot pay this amount of money, go and meet your parent. We miss school, we miss classes on several occasions, that because once you are unable to raise this amount of money, you won't be able to attend class. They won't. It will even got to a point that during exam time, this situation I'm telling you, this same particular 1,500, I was in an exam, in government school. They might have been disturbing you from time to time, but guess what? On exam day, they will still come and meet you in the class. On this particular day, we were, someone who has read, who really want to top the class, who want to excel. I was on my seat writing, and what do you call it? One of the people in the admin just walked up and started mentioning name of the people that have not paid. Immediately that kind of thing happened. Everything you must have read will even disappear from your head. But
Yeah.
guess what? Immediately her name was mentioned, then I think someone just pleaded on her behalf. So those were the things we passed through, being sent away because of 1,500. You miss schools, you miss interesting occasion. You can't even think of attending school competition. There was a situation whereby we went for cowbell then, and one of our one of our teacher was like, we will need to contribute transport. Who know, maybe that would have even changed our story for a very long time. And do
Just
you
for
know that we couldn't even raise common 1,500 for 1,500 naira for transport to attend competitions. So what I'm just trying to say in drop in analysis is that we were from a very disadvantaged background, like a background whereby there is no hope. Let me just put it that way. There is no hope, in terms of, when we're talking about people who have resources to move forward, because definitely if you want to move forward, like you have resources to advance, whether even if it is just for ordinary transport, ordinary 1,500. Our two parents couldn't come up with it, just for us to attend cowbell competition in the neighboring state. So those were the things we passed through, but we remain undaunted. And the reason why we refuse to give up is, and guess what? Even if you say we want to give up at that particular time, we had no alternative. The only hope we had with us was, yes, it was education. We believe the moment we are able to skate through all these things will become stories. And of course, they are today. But the reality on ground is that poverty was ravaging. It was one of the major challenges we faced while growing up. And it almost it put us to a wall. Let me even put it that way. A situation whereby you eat today and you don't even know what you're going to eat tomorrow. You understand? And it's not that maybe our parents are not trying. Of course, they are trying their best. But the fact still remains that from where we come from, where life was already leading us 10-0. Let me put it that way, if it is allowed. Life was already ahead of us because of the disadvantaged background. Poverty is a demon. I must be honest with you. If there is anything you need to fight against, is poverty. Because one of the very best ways to lose your self-esteem, to lose your confidence, to even lose direction or focus of where you are going to or you're going to head in life is basically poverty. Because it shifted the direction of human being. It makes a journey of just a single mile to become times 10 of that kind of distance. So those were the hurdles we passed through. And we thank God here we are today.
wow, wow,
Thank you.
amazing, amazing. I mean, when you were speaking, for context, for those who do not know, when you were talking about cowbell is a competition that intelligent minds from several schools go to compete with one another, and of course the winners are being rewarded in cash gifts and a lot of prizes. been one, and that was just imagine that not being able to sponsor such transportation had limited what would have come out of that kind of an adventure or expenditure. So, but basically, you know, while you were speaking, I wanted to ask this question: Was there ever a time? Was there ever a particular moment when you felt like your background
Right.
might limit your future, might limit your aspirations? Was there ever a time in that chaotic and limited state? Was there ever a time you thought about, oh, I cannot? Was there ever a time like that?
Please.
Sorry, guys. I think it's just a little network. Mm. So sorry. It's a network issue. Would get that rectified soon, shortly, I believe. Uh, so we'll just wait for him to come in, and so I mean, it's an interesting and amazing conversation we've been having here, and of course we have a little glitch in network, and that's why we are pausing a little bit just to get that fixed. And I believe that we're going to do that in a moment. So hopefully he are able to get him
Can
back
you hear me,
again.
please?
Yes, great, great, amazing. Thank you for
I think
yes,
there was a glitch over there. Thank you.
yes. So I the last question I asked was there a time in the midst of all of the limitations you had that you thought that you wouldn't be able to this your background will affect your future? Was there ever a time like that?
Thank you very much for the question. Definitely at first, there was, a doubt that how much are we going to become, or what will be our, what will be our, I mean, or what are we going to achieve at the end of the day? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So definitely there were times whereby, there were doubts, basically because of where we come from, but the most important thing, like I said earlier on, was the hope. And there is one singular hope, and that hope is rooted in academics, in education. Because I believe was basically once we are able to get educated, our hurdles are over. That was actually, I believe, that was what kept us going. But the instances whereby we've had doubt, where we've thought that maybe how far are we going to go, was all boiled down to our background, because definitely we are aware of where we're coming from, a disadvantaged background, a background whereby there is no help coming anywhere. You just have to figure it out, you know, and definitely we had lots of time where we had challenges and we thought of giving up. So, but one thing that kept us in us coming out by the virtue of the education we received, by the virtue of being educated by the virtue of, at the end of the day, we should be able to become somebody. So those were the kind of hope we had in us. And one of the instances let me cite one instances when we there was a very big doubt when I was in 200 exam time. On this particular day, I had nothing to eat to the exam. I was in 200 level, for crying out loud. I went to this exam without eating anything. And you know the way we study is in those days, we read as if our existence depend on reading. And the reason, the moment we're able to come out with something reasonable, and when we are talking about something reasonable, something that no one will be able to discard, then the story will be different. So on this particular day, I went to the exam hall, and how exhaustive undergraduate 200 level for that matter, how it used to be, because you have to, if you really want to graduate with something reasonable, you must finish every of your energy in every particular exam you probably attend. So on this particular day, I went to the exam hall, burned the midnight candle, read all through the night, on empty stomach, had nothing to eat. So on my way back after the exam, I was on a football field, heading back to my house. I said, if I can skate through this day, if I can skate through this day, and I did not die, then this particular day will be the last day I will ever go hungry in life. Those were the words that came out of my mouth. 200 level around 5:30 p.m. That was after exam. And guess what? That was the year I had the best results. And I narrowly missed in IB. So that kind of situation actually presented itself in such a way that I had every reason to give up. I had reasons not to even go for the exam. But guess what? If we had given up, what would have been the nearest or closest alternative? We don't even have any alternative, because the moment we give up, then that's all for us. And the only hope we had in our hand was basically us pursuing an undergraduate degree at that particular time. So I made a statement on that day. I'm echoing it that if I can skate through this particular day and I don't die of hunger, trust me, I will not go hungry again in life. Those were my words. Those were the exact words. And trust me, since that day, the story has been different. Though there were challenges, 2LL was a long distance program. I mean, it was a long way to final year. But trust me, and you know what? After that particular encounter, when the results came out, maybe it was those words that I made. One of the professors saw my result in the Senate and put me on the scholarship during that period. So those scholarship actually, those were the things that actually trigger us going forward. And another person came up. So on that after that 200 level, I was on 3 different scholarship, providing that changed our stories. We had every reason to give up, but we had no other option. It was, it's either we succeed or we die trying. That was what the mindset was all about. So we had all the reason to give up. There were times whereby, if I tell you there was no time, I never had the mindset of giving up. I would definitely be lying to you. There were situations, there were occasions, not one, not two, not thrice. That spirit will tell you that, why are you even disturbing yourself? You don't even know what you will become at the end of the day. You're just, but the reality is there was no alternative. It is either we succeed while trying or we die on the mountain. So those were the mindsets. It's either we make it or we die. There was no any other alternative. So that was the reason why our hope was basically on education. Get that degree first. Then we see what happens. And like I told you, after that 20 level, scholarship pops in. And that's been the story. And the rest they say is history.
History.
Thank you.
History. Indeed. You were speaking, some people will go through some of the things you went through, and that might be the reason they would back out. But for you, the hurdles you went through were the propelling force, such that because you were even hungry,
Yes,
that was why you said, "Oh, I'm not going to be hungry like this again all through my life." And that did not put your background
that's
did
right.
not put your back down. I mean, that's amazing. Now you fast forwarded us to
You know,
your excellence, your academic life, and all of that. If there's anybody who I've met that is very, very intelligent, excellent when it comes to academics, is this man right here. So I will ask you a question since you've taken us to that direction. So people basically see your first class degree that you graduated one of the best in the university and all of that, and they assume that you are just naturally intelligent. So, but how true is that really? How true are you? Just naturally intelligent? What are some of the things that is that true? Or are people naturally born very intelligent and others not? What was your case?
thank you. Thank you very much for that question. Well, I will start by saying that the the question of intelligence is subjective in itself.
Mm,
Because one thing I've discovered over the years is that there is no how you will keep doing something, when you put your mind, your spirit, everything in it, that you will not become better. Discover over the year. And to your question, I will say I'm not naturally intelligent. That's just the reality. I'm not. And I can say in Nigeria there's a part the Hausa will say guru by is he intelligent guru by nachi in quotes. So and this kind of intelligence is basically on grinding. Let me put it grinding on consistency. You know on your ability to 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 be consistent. Yes, let me put it that way. So my own intelligence is basically a consistent one. And how did I even come about it? Is basically decades of unrelentless effort. Let me put it that way. When we were in university, we read, like I've said earlier on, that we had no any other alternative. So it is all about becoming the best at what we do. So my own intelligence is basically on consistency. So it's reading at all time. I can spend 20, I can spend, let me just say 22 hours of of the time in a day. I can just sit down reading. I when we're in school, we read as if every of our system depend on reading. And there are some people whereby by the time they sit down within 1 2 hours, they are tired. So my own intelligence was basically from the fact that we believe that the only way we can pass, the only way we can get the best result out of whatever we lay our hands on is to be consistent at it. And what do I mean by being consistent? We read when you give us a material, I can read a material more than 20 times even before exam because I will make sure that that kind of materials become part of me. That kind of course become part of me. There are some like what we study in school. There are some questions that are very precise, that are precision questions that do with numbers. And the moment you miss, maybe you are supposed to put 1 2 and you put 3 4, you're already out of the way. So we read all through, like we read. Let me start one example. We read as if every of our existence depend on it. When we're in school, we don't. There was a time, not even one or twice. We don't go home for Christmas. You know, there was a time we had exam in 2nd of January. Our exam started 2nd of January. So I was in my room. I had my crossover in my room reading. I had my Christmas in my room reading. So we never had that luxury of going for Christmas. Let me cite one example. We finished one semester one time, and everyone has gone home. And so, as someone who came from Southwest and to the northern part of Nigeria, it's a hell of distance.
Yeah.
So even if I say I want to go home, where would the transport even come from? So I was the only one in the hostel. And when I'm talking about male hostel, I'm talking a very big one. Like, you do you know what it means for you alone to be in the whole hostel after everyone have gone home after exam? So we never had that luxury of still saying that, oh, we want to leave home for after the semester, because no, we stayed back to read. And so what I'm just trying to say in drop analysis is that we dedicated all our assistance to reading. So that's the reason why we're able to come up with that kind of results. And my own intelligence is decade of consistency. So, and like I will say to everyone that is listening to me, if you really want to get the best out of it, even if your background speaks otherwise, all right, even if maybe what you have presently is actually telling you can't make it. No, what you just have to do is to stay consistent to it. That's the most important thing. So we read over and over again. We bought midnight candles. If you give me a material, I will tell you. If you There is no way you can even open the material that will not be able to answer questions from it, because we understood that if we don't pass this kind of course, there is no how we're going to move forward. So our intelligence was years and decades of consistency. Reading, read as if your life depend on it. You read as if that time they used to call us jackometer or last minute jacking, basically because they are aware that these people, they don't even have any other hope apart from being successful in academic. I think, let me just drop it, that if we are not where we are today, if we are not successful, you know, people would have questions, the product of our consistency.
Yeah.
People would have asked that, despite what they went through in school, what have come forth of their life. So is like I've said it over and over again. There is no how you can be committed to this thing that you don't see the result at the end of it. It might take a long time. Let me even say longer time, but definitely you will see the result. So in drop and in essence, my own intelligence is basically from the place of consistency. And I'm telling you, if you are consistent at what you do, the result will be different.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
You said so many things in just one breath, and I'm trying to trying to relieve it. So one of the things he did say about intelligence is he said there's something called you just reminded me of that. There's something called guru by nature, and there's guru by nachi.
Yeah.
These are Hausa words
Mhm.
from Nigeria. Guru, generally, guru means someone who is intelligent, who is knowledgeable about a thing. So we are saying excellence can come, or should I say intelligence can come as a product of nature, but intelligence can also come as a product of nachi. Nachi is a Hausa word that means refusing to give up, the consistency, holding strong, continuously, persistently, tenaciously, putting in everything to, and that was what he's trying to explain. That I could remember several times I'll meet him with material. Oh, we have a test and all of that. He would tell me, the lecturer cannot go outside of this to give us exams. So because it is here, I must have an excellent score. So and that has been the mindset ever since. I'm really glad. But something I wanted to take it further from there is you spoke about how focused you are, ability to sit in one place consistently, beholding something to bring out every juice out of it. But that is what is lacking in this present time and in this age, probably because of the so many distractions that we have, we have so many social, of course we had social media then, but of course, you know, the access, the means to even access it was not basically there. Not everybody had phones or sophisticated phones, gadgets that can enable them have access to some of these things. But how would you explain what are some of the elements that has really helped you to stay consistent, to stay focused? Or what would you say to someone in this time and in this age that is being confronted by a plethora of distractions? How can one stay focused in a distracted environment, in a distracted world? What would you say to that? How can you what helps you to stay consistent as well?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, if I'm telling you that there are no distractions in today's world, then I'm not being sincere with you. There are a lot of distractions here and there, and even at time there are a lot of distractions. You know, people want to go to party. You know, people want to go to club. It has always been over the years, but I usually tell people that even if you don't know where you are going, you must definitely know where you are coming from. So I had the idea of where I was coming from, and not succeeding wasn't an option, and giving up, all right, wasn't an option, and also following the crowd was never an option, because at the end of the day, it will be you and you alone. Like I usually tell everyone around me that you must be responsible for your life. And one of the major things that you can do to yourself, one of the major service you can do to yourself, is to take accountability for every decision you take. Professor Ogunwole will always say that only until when people are held responsible for the action they take in Nigeria, that's when things can get better. You see people making unnecessary decisions and it backfires because there is no accountability. So the major thing I will tell you is, of course, there are a lot of this technology that we are saying they are distraction. They are even an instrument for you to have ample opportunity, ample information at your disclosure. At your disposal. Information is at your fingertips in today's world. AI is everywhere. There is no information that you are looking for. It's at your fingertips. So how do you stay focused? The only way you can stay focused is to always remind yourself where you are coming from. If I tell you there is an antidote to stay focused, then I'm kidding. Then I'm not being sincere with you. There is no antidote anywhere. The only cure for you to stay focused is to always remind yourself, even if you don't know where you are going, at least you must have the idea of where you are coming from. You know the background of where you are coming from. You know the family where you came from. You know where your family is. You know the situation where they are presently. Is anyone helping you? Do you have brothers and sisters you are looking up to? Or uncles who will just say, take this? Or someone, we don't even have any uncle who would even say, manage this 100 naira. No. We never had that. If my story is something closer to yours, then definitely you must know where you are coming from. And the only hope you have in your hand presently is to be serious with your academic. And the Bible says that anything that is worth doing, just like my people will always say too, in that popular palace, it's worth doing well. And I will still go into the Bible again. Hebrew 11:1, it says, those that believe in him must really hope. So you have that hope in your hand. And you must believe that he is the only one that can reward those who diligently seek him. So God must be your calculation. Once you have the idea of where you are coming from, you must definitely understand that, you can't get distracted. Your friends, you want to go to party, they want to be on social media, they want to, show off to everyone. But the only way you can stay focused is to always remind yourself where you're coming from. And if you envisage a better life, you will know that definitely whatever you have in your hand at this particular time, you must do it to the very best of your knowledge. And how can you do it to the very best of your knowledge? By remaining consistent, your perseverance, believing that, yes, I can do it. You need to have that spirit in you. You are not a loser. You are the best at all times. Just like my brother will always say, you are the best. All right. So, how do you stay focused? You must always remind yourself where you're coming from. And many times, like I've said earlier on, if there will be any reason for me to give up, I always remember where I'm coming from. Even if I give up, what am I going back home to do? What will be my faith at the end of the day? And those were the things that always come to my memory. That always trigger me. The background of where I'm coming from, they are the reason for me to keep grinding. Because I owe it to myself, not to anyone, to be the best at what I do and to become the best at the end of the day. I'm not doing that to show off. I'm not doing that to maybe to satisfy anybody or to prove to anyone that I can do it. No, I'm doing that. I'm doing that to rewrite history, to rewrite the story. It will be disheartening, all right, for my children to pass through what I passed through. It will be really disastrous, for me to even pass through what my parents passed through. So if my story is anywhere near to what you are passing through or what you've passed through, then consistency is one of the major things you need. Apostle Paul will always say that, I beseech you, in every of his statements, what I will just tell you is that keep grinding, keep doing what you know how to do best. There will be a time whereby you might not even see the desired result that you envisage, but don't give up. Failure doesn't mean, failure doesn't mean you are not the best. It doesn't mean you are not up to the task. It doesn't mean you haven't put in your best. No, it just gives you an avenue to have a flip of what life is all about. Failure is basically asking you that if you fall down 2 times, will you be able to pick up from where you fell down? So don't give up. All right. Don't get distracted. If there is anything you are missing at this moment, I promise you, you will have loads of time for it. When you achieve what you want to achieve, when you become what you want to become. Of course, peer pressure will always set in, but what I will just tell you, just be consistent at what you do and don't give up. Don't get distracted.
Indeed, indeed. Someone said failure is an event, is not a destination. And the way I usually put it is, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay. You only become a failure when you stop trying. So the more you keep on pushing, but basically, I've gotten. I mean, you spoke about the need for consistency, the need for discipline, the need for an ability to stay distracted, discipline yourself in discerning what is important and what is not, an ability to remind yourself of the place. A lot of people, so basically some of the things you mentioned are the reasons some people might tell you, oh, my background, my parents didn't really do well, so I don't think I can become any great in life, so I'm not born with a silver spoon. Why don't you make your own silver spoon? It's been said that while growing up, you look like your parents, but when you are mature, you look like your decisions. So when you are mature and you're complaining about your background, then you're no longer little. You are now matured. You look like your decisions. Your decisions is exactly what place you where you are. So I mean that's remarkable. Now I would want to take us from, just before I leave that thought, I could remember that particular semester you were talking about that you stayed back some of I mean that you guys stayed back in school to study. I can remember that's my worst semester. I think that's one of the very few semesters I actually went home for a holiday. And of course, even at home, it wasn't as though I wasn't reading all along, but of course, you know the distraction that comes with it. So
Of
indeed,
course.
if you know what you want, it's just a temporal thing. Temporal thing. The end always justify the means. So
Amen.
it's important uh, to remain steadfast, even in a distracting world. A time will is coming when you will have the luxury of time to do whatever you want to do, to sit down, enjoy, and relax, and all of that. But whenever you're confronted with some things at the particular time, you need to give it your all until you complete it to the very end.
That's it.
So,
That's right.
your story is remarkable and outstanding, and I want to point out. I know. By the way, I already told you guys that I know him back then in school and all of that. There's something I want to point out. After graduation, of course, you graduated with an excellent result, but after graduation, you were doing well in Nigeria. Of course, with all the challenges and all that before you eventually hit the gusher, as I would say, you were doing well in Nigeria. What what inspired what made you decide? What inspired your decision to pursue a master's degree in the UK? What inspired your decision to leave the country? Because I know you were doing well. You're doing well for yourself in Nigeria. What exactly? Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very big one, I must say. Let me start by saying that before the idea of moving abroad even came in, uh, I started my masters in UI, but guess what? I dropped out on the ground of finance. There was no funding, so like I said earlier on, if there is anything you need to fight against, it's still poverty. I left UI, then went on to the Federal University in Abeokuta for my master's again. I dropped out on the ground of finance again, on the ground of funding. So, and that was where I knew definitely, probably Nigeria wasn't for me, or maybe it was time to actually move on. So, my plan was basically I never had a plan to move out in the first place. I was like, probably since I dropped out from those university on the ground of funding, I can still go back. But one thing struck my mind. Nigeria is a very beautiful place. I'm not going to berate where I'm coming from. But the fact still remains that how far you go in life is a function of your background, of where you're coming from. Permit me to say that there is no amount of words. I might be wrong, but with what I've experienced so far, I can tell you for a fact that if you actually don't know how to compromise, and when I mean compromise in Nigeria context, there is no amount of words you can have or resources you can have in Nigeria. It takes just one single government policy to scatter whatever you have gathered. I've even made up my mind that I might just stay back in Nigeria, then maybe continue with my education and all that. But there was a spirit that keeps figuring in my mind that things might not continue like this. And I got to realize that some people that were actually, well to do, that were able to feed themselves in Nigeria and they ended up not able to do that was to a larger extent, many of them wasn't even their fault. I over time I realized that it was it all boils down to just one single government policy. So that was when those ambitions start triggering in. That was when I made up my mind that why am I wasting my time? Why am I doing all of this? So that was when I started scouting for scholarship to go abroad. Then, as God will have it, I was able to land an 80% scholarship, which actually helped me a lot. And that was actually the major buffer I was expecting, or maybe I was looking up to, or looking forward to at that particular time. So, and what I will always tell everyone is basically, if you have the opportunity to leave, just leave. Many people might not want to leave basically because they love Nigeria. Yes, we all love Nigeria, all right. But the reality on ground is that it takes just one government policy to shift your view of what Nigeria is all about. So, and the reason for international blend was basically the reason why I left at the end of the day. So I was like, yes, we've seen what Nigeria setting is all about. And it was at the right time for us to seek international blend, which was the reason we went online, scout. Of course, there were a lot of rejections. Why scouting? You will definitely get rejection. You will endless code email to sponsors, to professors. Some will even tell you that the email address you've sent to wasn't correct. Of course, you get countless of it. But because we've made up our mind that it was all time for us to leave. And to be very sincere with you, my mindset then was basically because we just want to have an international blend. Then we come back. And finally, the last straw that broke the camel's back was when insecurity was ravaging, when people were being killed in their home. I'm talking about during the first tenure of the late president. Insecurity was everywhere. You don't need any other sign that these were actually the reason why you need to leave at that particular time. Insecurity ravaging, everything became messed up, cost of living and all that. So, like I was saying earlier on, that no matter the amount of resources you have, it's take just one government policy. When I was already in Poland, I was like, I was already doing well. Why do I need to travel? Why do I need to go out? I can get whatever I want to, get my things done here. But I almost missed out. You like I've said earlier on, that you need that spirit of discernment, the ability to know when to leave. You really need it, because I would have missed out. For someone who was already doing well, you are able to feed yourself and all that. So there was a spark in me. You need to leave. You need to leave. So that was how scholarship came in, and we started processing and all that. We knew the journey ahead would definitely be rough. It's a different environment entirely. But those were the reason why we left. We left basically because, one, there was a need for international blend in the first place. Two, insecurity was ravaging, and we were very conscious of government policy, government decision that can make you, from 10, that can bring you from 10 to 1 or 10 to even 0. So every point you find yourself in life, you need that spirit of discernment. Let me put it that way. You need to always look ahead. You need to always forecast what the future will hold. If there is anything you want, go for it. Don't say you want to procrastinate. That's the problem many people are having, more especially students. I'm not going to read tonight. I'm going to read tomorrow morning. Of course, there will be time that you'll be tired. There will be time that, oh, I can't read this. But the spirit to stay consistent, as I've said, you did that very well. So, international blend, major driver. Two, insecurity was ravaging. And three, we knew that a government policy could distort everything. So that was the reason why we left in the first place. And we understood that it would be a disservice to our first class not to have a master's. Why will you have a first class in the first place and not get a master to it? Because basically in Nigeria, our mindset was basically once you are able to finish at the top of the class, you end up as a lecturer or what have you. No, there is life outside lecturing. There are a lot of life outside than being a lecturer. All right. And the only thing I would just say, I'm going to stop now. The only thing I will tell you is that once you have the means or the opportunity, even if it is just to live for a day, please do it. Because I don't want to I don't want to politicize my statements now. Because there are a lot of things that our government has robbed us with. Simple life is now a luxury from where we're coming from. Food is now a luxury. Imagine that kind of situation. So those were the red flags. Those were the trigger that we saw. Simple lifestyle becoming something that you need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone that knows you before you can access it. That's not the kind of society we want. So if you have the opportunity or when the opportunity presents itself, don't let it slide. I almost missed out, but I'm grateful I didn't. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, indeed. Your story, it kind of sometimes comfort. What I'm just getting, sometimes comfort can be uh, the worst enemy to your future success, such that because
That's
you were
right.
doing well, you just relax. But your dream was far beyond just complacency. It's far beyond just wanting to do
Mhm.
well at a particular state. You were looking forward to even a much higher, a much greater goal. I mean, it's important that people really have uh, from the onset set out their goals, what they want to achieve in life, and whatever the system gets you to, you would want to navigate your way back to align with your initial thoughts and your pattern that you've set your heart to pursue. So I mean, that's really remarkable. But what can you say are the difficulties that people do not necessarily talk? What are the hardest adjustments that you had to make in order to, when you first arrived in the UK, to blend in the UK life and all of that? What are some of the hardest adjustments that you had to make?
Thank you very much for that question. If I tell you that it is rosy on the other side, I'm not being sincere with you. You know, you know, the reality on ground is that I usually tell people that if you can remain focused, like if you have that, let's say 50% of the focus you have in Nigeria, if you can have it in this part of the world, definitely you will do well. That's why I usually tell people. Of course, there were challenges. There were a lot of challenges. There were culture shock. Let me just crack you up a bit. What we call porridge in Nigeria is totally different from what they call porridge here. Their own porridge here comes from oats, and if you tell someone that I want to eat porridge, for a Nigerian man, they would think maybe you are making your own porridge from yam or maybe from sweet potato or what have you. But this one is a different ball game. And one other thing, one other culture shock, I will still tell you these challenges. One other culture shock is that in this part of the world, there is no respect. You call everybody by name, call them by their name. You imagine me calling a 90 years old by their name, not even sir. You can't, in Nigeria, before you make any statement, you put sir,
Yeah.
sir, wait on sir. You start prostrating and all that. No, you don't do that here. Life was a bit difficult when you first came here. Definitely it will be. As a student, you are restricted to 20 hours work. You can't do more than 20 hours. The moment you start doing more than 20 hours, you are violating your visa, your agreements, and your state status. So, and you know what it means before you pay, upkeep and all that. Scholarship was partial, and the other one has to be self-funded. So working 20 hours and order to augment whatever responsibility you have. So those were the kind of challenges we faced, but that was, should I say, to a larger extent, insignificant to what we experienced back at home. All right. And of course, I must be honest with you. If you are someone that you find it very difficult to cope with code is another different challenge. It's very cold in this part of the world. You will just come out in a day and you discover that the temperature is -7 degree. Some people in Canada even experience as low as -45 degree. Those were biggest challenges, and combining work with academic, working part time, and also reading to succeed, to pass. Of course, it's also a different challenges on its own. And as a student, when you come here, you are not entitled to public funds. So you must take responsibility for everything that you do. And in this part of the world, there is utmost accountability. You can't get away with anything. And one of the major things I could remember when I started my masters, by the time I left Nigeria, I think I was 30, or heading to my 30, and the people I was in class with, they were in their mid 20s, some early 20. Imagine you are in a class with someone that is 19, 21, some even, yeah, 22, 23. So those are the kind of people you will get to mingle with. And just like everyone that knows me, I'm not shy to ask for help when it is required. If nothing is if anything is not clear, if I still need some kind of clarity, I don't care what is your age is. Even if you are 2 years old, I will walk up to you. I will learn it. And by the time I learn it, you won't be able to take it away from me again. That's one thing I want you to take away. Don't be too arrogant to learn from anybody that is beneath you, regardless of age, orientation, gender identity, or what have you. So those are the things that presented themselves as challenges and what have you. And jostling balls to work, to school. Yeah, of course. Those were the challenges we encountered. But the reality on ground is that ever since I've been here now, going to 4 years, there have never been a day I shouted up NEPA. Just crack you up with that. In Nigeria settings whereby you only see electricity maybe once in a blue moon. And I even heard that they started grading in grade A, grade band B, or what do they call it? So everything is readily available. That's the reason why I said, even if it is just for a day, come and see what Western world is all about. And the biggest reason why our leaders have not been able to implement what they saw here still remain unraveled to me, still remain unknown to me. All right. So what I'm just saying, drop an S, is that of course there will be challenges. For someone who was already doing well in Nigeria and moving down to this phase, like you are restarting all over again. All right. And I was very aware of what lies ahead. I was aware of where I was coming from because there was no option. All right. Because definitely, if I didn't leave, things were going to go bad. I was very, very sure of that. All right. Because, a situation whereby someone can just stand up. Imagine, look at some of those policies. Someone can just stand up and wake up one day and say, yeah, we are changing the currency, and the one in your hand is no longer tenable, it's no longer acceptable. Someone can just stand up and say, okay, we are increasing the cost of food and all that. Nothing can be increased, nothing can be changed here without informing the populace. And before they can even go ahead with that, there must have been a cushion in place to, to alleviate the effect of whatever they are changing. So, of course, as I said earlier on, there were challenges. It was a different place entirely, different culture, different orientation, different kind of people, different kind of food. All right. Imagine you don't have access to swallow for a number of years. You understand what I mean? So of course you will miss all those things. But trust me, the story will change as long as you remain focused, as long as you are consistent in what you do, as long as you are aware of where you are coming from. Because yes, we have people by the time they get here, they said no, they want to go and eat their breakfast in Ibiza. I mean, in Ibiza, yeah. Some will tell you that they want to go to Spain to have their breakfast. Some will tell you that no, I'm going to Poland to have my lunch. Yes, of course, you will have time for all those things. But to everything that worth doing, the worth doing well. And from the word of this Desa Washington, is a greater threat to progress than hardship. All right. And without commitment, you will never start. And most importantly, without consistency, you will never finish. So you must always be aware of ease as an enemy to your progress and be conscious of it at any time. So there were challenges, but we are very much aware of it that it is something we will be able to wither to the glory of God. Thank you.
Exactly. Remarkable. Um, whilst you were speaking, I mean, one thing I really caught from all what you were saying is that, of course, the fact that there are challenges, when you put it side by side, the challenges you had previously, they
In
are
Nigeria.
inconsequential.
Yeah.
So that in itself is
No, no, no.
already a drive for you to keep on moving. And it's no different from what you
Yes.
had experienced before. So it's all about
That's right.
moving on to still strive harder. Now, I will take it a little bit personal now. Not really personal. I mean, generally, you studied something way different undergraduate. Uh, Talking about you studied
That's right.
animal science.
That's
Masters,
right.
you did something totally different. You're working in so totally different field and all of that.
Different.
So the question I wanted to ask, that of course shows your ability to adapt, your adaptability. But what are the skills? What are the uh, what are the mindset that helped you to build? What are the skills and the attitudes that helped you to adapt and build stability in this new environment that you are, irrespective of what your background or background in terms of your previous education had helped you with? What exactly helped you to be that versatile, ability to adapt with whatever comes? And right now you studied, you had to transition from what you studied undergraduate to something else in your masters, to even transition to work and be stable in the UK. What exactly moved you from that surviving to stability or building in the UK?
Thank you very much for that question. Of course, my first degree was in animal science, and I remember one of my professor, Professor Adebayo Aruwayo, we always say that the moment you can have a background in science, there is no course that will be difficult for you. There's no profession that you'll not be able to shine. That's right. And all of this still boils down to your ability to learn, you know, being flexible kind of mindset. So let me start by saying that my first degree was in animal science, and coming to the UK, my master's was totally different, was even MSc in management and international marketing. So it was a total different stuff, totally different from what I had. But I believe, I believe that there is no amount of things or whatever they want to dish out that I will not be able to sit down, go through it, and read. Because basically, the reason is that we've, we've developed a mindset that is open to learning. Like I've said earlier on, that if anything is not clear to me, regardless of your age, your background, who you are, I walked up to you for explanation. So those were the things that actually helped me in the first place, which actually helped me in terms of uh, helping my physician and coming out with a very reasonable result in that field. So for you to be able to be versatile, for you to be able to shine in whether changing of background or what have you, because in this kind of settings, in this environment, it is basically what kind of solution you can offer, what kind of things you can do. So I was very open to learning, and that really helped. And like I said earlier on, one of the major ingredients you need is consistency. You need to be consistent in your reading, so that because I needed a lot of time because something that I didn't do in undergraduate, I had extra time reading, burning midnight candles, keeping up to date in everything that has to do with my new field. So that actually helped in the first place. So presently, I currently work as a therapist. In this kind of environment, after graduation, after study, the next line of action is from surviving to building. You need to look at what you can do, what industries is or like is of high requirements that they can't do without. So immediately, no, before I graduated, I've already envisaged that there is much of demand in this kind of field. Is People are looking for it. Like, if I think in Nigeria, there is only one university that offered physiotherapists and occupational therapists, if I'm right. That's University of Ife. So I saw that field. I had a work experience while I was studying. So I developed interest in it. So what did I do? Went back for additional training. That actually helped me. And from there, I was able to get a, a, a route that will lead to settlement by the virtue of being flexible with a new role. So what I'm just trying to say in drop analysis is that it doesn't matter what you study in your first degree or maybe second degree or what have you. The most important thing is you having an open mind to learn. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sure.
Yes, it's you having an open mind. You must be ready to learn. You must be open to learning. You must be able to open up. Like the popular palace usually say that closed mouth doesn't get fed. You must be able to seek for help. If you see someone who is already doing well in that field, you need to reach out, because there is a lot of life after school. There is more than enough life, after coming to the world here, after your masters, of course, you will need to re-strategize, except you have plan of going back to Nigeria. And as someone who doesn't have any plan of returning home anytime soon, so maybe later. Let me put it that way. I was able
So,
to, I was able to, open up myself to learning, and that actually got us our stay. And you know, in the next a year plus, we'll be able to have our settlement in the country. So what I'm just trying to say in drop analysis is that always envisage where you are going to from where you're standing. All right. You need that spirit to be able to look ahead of you. Don't sail until when that time comes. That's when you're going to react. No, you don't do that. That one of the major things the billionaires they do is they plan ahead. They see problem from afar and start providing solution to it. So those were the things I did. Before graduation, I was already seeing where I will shine. I was already seeing where what I want is. So I prepared myself, opened myself to learning, and and this requires going back to school again to get another degree. So, and that's because at this particular point, you're not talking about surviving again. It's all about you building. So what I've just tell you is make sure you saddle yourself with enough skills. There are a lot of skills outside the world today. I have friends who are in the medical field, doctors, nurses that are even tired of their profession. So there are project management online you can get on you can do on Coursera. So you must be open to learning. You must be open to upskilling yourself. If you still want to stay relevant in today's world, of course, you must upskill yourself. You must be able to see areas that are lacking professions or professionals. So, and what do you need to do? Go ahead and upskill yourself. So those are the things I did, and I will implore you whenever the opportunity presents itself, open yourself to learning. In this part of the world, you know, there is no profession that anyone can belittle to.
Hmm.
All right. Just like one of my friend who is in construction, you will see in Nigeria, someone who works as a bricklayer, people will look down on them. Someone who works as plasterer. These are the people that are making a hell of money in these spheres. And we're talking about this sphere whereby cleaner use latest car. If it is car that you're looking at, cleaners they are the one using 2024, 2025, 2026 models cars. So this sphere is there is a lot of leverage in the sense that you don't even know who are the rich. You don't even know people that are opulent. Everyone is what to do on their own because everyone gets to pay their bill by themselves. So you must be open to learning. You must be flexible in terms of learning new skills and adapting to a new role in a new environment. I think I used to tell people, I might be wrong, that if you have that kind of zeal that we have in Nigeria and you come to the Western world and you remain focused, definitely you will succeed. Because like the kind of drive we have in Nigeria, the kind of you know, you know, hard work we put into our things. Many people don't even put 90% of that hard work in what they do here, and they are doing fine. So consistency is the most important thing. That's one. Open yourself to learning new things. That's number two. Be flexible. All right. Open your mouth to ask for help when you need. All right. Closed mouth doesn't get fed. So those were the things I did, and that's the reason why we are here. And those are the things we are building on. Thank you.
I mean, thank you so much for sharing. That's really a lot to chew out of breath, and indeed you've helped. I hope that those watching, those who are even going to see the after the live broadcast, who are going to get to see the video, I hope that they will really embrace it. Probably let's probably shift from your personal. I mean, some of the things I'm really getting to see is that success, progress in life, and all of that has to do with mindset. It begins in the mind. If your mind
That's right.
the mind
Mhm.
having a mindset of responsibility rather than placing the blame, fixing the problem. What are the mindset I should develop and move, transition, and make up my mind that indeed. So everything begins in the mind. The mind is a controlling system that helps us navigate better. So thank you so much for that. I will probably, as we try to start winding up and all of that, I want to ask what are some of the mistakes that you would say that young people should avoid when chasing success abroad? What are some of the mistakes they should avoid, young especially? So let's start. Let's try to wind up and start talking to people directly now. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that question. Yeah, a lot of people have made a hell of mistakes when it comes to chasing success abroad. Success in itself is basically, a lot of things. Many people chase success because they want to impress others. They want to show that they've arrived. Many people, but success is another thing. Success You know, to some, it's just to live a life that is comfortable, to help as much as possible, to bring as much as possible out of poverty. So, what my advice would be to you for anyone chasing success abroad is basically, I will still remind you of what I said earlier on. You know, if you don't have, you know, the focus of where you are going to, you must always remember where you are coming from. I've seen people by the time they arrive in the Western world, they will tell you that they want to go and have breakfast in Ibiza while still studying. They want to go and have lunch in Paris while still studying. Some will tell you they want to go and have dinner in Poland. Of course, it's not a bad thing. To everything, there is time for it. You will still have time for all those things. All right. So, whenever you are coming abroad, you must always remember where you are coming from. You must always remember the home where you left. Popular Palace, they said they leave home to feed home. So, you must have that mindset that you are coming here to better your life and to better the life of your parents or whoever that you are responsible for. So, in this part of the world, I have seen lots of people making mistakes. By the time they get here, they start chasing women, they start chasing girls. And in this part of the world, you cannot call girls. In Nigeria, you can call girls on the road. But in this part of the world, you cannot call girls on the streets. You'll be sued for harassment. And once you have been sued for harassment, you definitely know that your time and stay is almost over. Because in this part of the world, by the time you are being sent to a prison that is more than 12 months, definitely once you are being released, you are going back to your home country. So let the reason why you are here be your primary focus. One of my vice chancellor, who is now the current Totif of a Benue State, will always say, let your primary focus of being in school be your academic. Let your academic be number one. Let your academic be number two. Let your academic be number three. Let it be number 4, 5, 6. So if you are coming abroad as a student, let your study be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even up to the number 10. Once you've graduated, everything will flow. Everything will come with ease. Graduate with a good grade. All right. Though I must be honest with you, to a larger extent, grade doesn't really matter in this part of the world, but it still opens door. It opens door. I will tell you for fact that grade matters, because if you are looking at pursuing PhD, there are grades that you will require to present before you can be accepted to PhD schools. So let your primary aim of coming to the West be your study. If you are coming on the study, if you are coming to work, let your work be sacrosanct. Do everything that you want to do at the right time. Don't put the cart before the horse. All right? Do it at the right time. Burn the midnight candle at the right time. Be consistent in whatever you do. I must be honest with you. Life is tough out there, yes, in Nigeria. When you are born in Nigeria, life is already leading you ahead. Life is already ahead of you. Imagine in this part of the world, a 22-year-old is already living a comfortable life. They already have their mortgage. They already have their cars. Their life is settled. But we are coming from a country, from a region whereby at 30, you don't even know what you want to do with your life. So when the opportunity of coming to the world presents itself, use it judiciously. Use it as if your life depends on it. Don't make mistakes, like mistakes of being arrested by the police or being caught violating the law. All right? Don't make mistakes of violating the law. Don't be caught violating the law, because there are some mistakes in this part of the world that, in Nigeria, when you do things, sometimes they overlook. Sometimes you just need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone. But in this part of the world, our deputy senate president was serving when he was jailed. Ike Kremadu, just to remind you, nobody is above the law here. If the prime minister of this country is caught, if one of them was even caught and they cannot use seatbelt, it was fine. So there is much of accountability in this part of the world. So let your primary aim of coming to the West be your primary aim. Do things at the right time. Obey law. Don't violate it. Be committed to what you are doing. All right. You will get the result. I must be honest with you. How you started or where you started does not really matter. But where you are going is the most important thing. And I can tell you for a fact that you can have a flip side of where you start because you can't change it. You can't change where you are starting. You can only catapult on those challenges, on those, on those rocky ground, on those ground that are full of challenges, on those ground that you have lots of excuses not to move forward. So overall, take your life serious. This is 2026. If you are not responsible for your life, nobody will be responsible for it. I must be honest with you. Nigeria is even more tougher than we left it. So you must be serious. Serious in the sense that look for skills, of skills. I've seen people, they are even in Nigeria, but they work with offshore companies, and their earnings, they are living life. They are helping their parents. So get the required skills that you need to get, and trust me, once you have the skills, the knowledge, the experiences, everybody will come for you. You will be too important to be discarded. You will be too relevant that everyone, will always want to associate with you. Everyone will always want to work with you. So finally, in all that you do, always remember your God. Remember God. We are nothing without Him. And we are not here because we were too good. I used to say it. We are not here because we read a lot or because we had the highest amount of experience that anyone could have or because we are too good at anything. No, we are just here basically because grace speak for us. So take your relationship with Him serious. Do what is right at the right time. Don't leave what you're supposed to do to Him. All right? Because I've realized that there are situations whereby there are things that we are supposed to do as an individual, but we still leave it for someone else to do it for us. And that my final admonition, and that will be my final admonition. Make sure you take your life serious. Be responsible for your life. Be accountable. If there's anything that you are doing that you are not yet seeing results, don't give up. It is part of the process. You will even come to the Western world and apply for a job and get endless amount of unfortunate. But trust me, it is part of the process. Those are the process that will make you who you are. And trust me, at the end of the day, it will all end in testimonies. I wish you a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. That's a great admonition. Great. I mean, we've spent a lot of time. He's poured out his heart and showed us how to navigate the path of life and to become absolutely the best in every area we find ourselves. I mean, you've really spoken well. I want to say a big thank you. I want to say a big thank you to you for uh, everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you for availing yourself. Thank you for, the sky is just the starting point for each and every one of us. I could remember times we were just working, but today we are at different plane. Of course, tomorrow would be what I do. Right now, what you see of us is our mindset yesterday.
That's right.
Wait until tomorrow before you see what our mindset of today is navigating us to. So that's why I believe that the sky is just a starting point for each and every one of us.
That's right.
So thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for pouring out most of the things that you already have inside of you to everybody. The last thing he said is very important. He said, God, do not be among those that will come to the foreign country and then just dish out, forget about the God that had helped them all through their life. He talked about the ability to think back. And of course, anyone who does not think cannot be thankful. It is your ability to
That's right.
think back at where you came from that would help you to be thankful to God. And one of such thankfulness is expressing yourself in service to Him and also putting Him at the back of your mind. in everything that you do, and it kind of engaging him, in acknowledging him in all your ways, so that he can direct all that you would confront in front of, that you would come in front with. God bless you. Thank you so much, sir. We've spent an hour 30 minutes already talking. I wouldn't want us to keep on going. I would just want to end it here. But maybe before, just last word, one last word from you. Uh, one last word before we say good night would be, what is one thing you say life has taught you that no book is able has been able to teach you? Just one last word. Uh, what would you say that is?
Thank you very much for the privilege, the opportunity. I'm very grateful. So one thing that on final note,
Hmm.
what I will tell you is that your life is in your hands. All right. What what you bring out of your life, what you become at the end of the day, is a product of your mindset. Is a product of where you think you can be and whatever you can amount to. There will be challenges. I must be honest with you. Your background alone is enough reason for you to give up, as I've said earlier on. And no textbook will tell you that this is how to navigate life. They will tell you, yes, these are the things they do, but there is no one cap fit all. Every individual experience is different. Your own situation will be different. All right. But I'm telling you for a fact that there is nothing that you are going through that no one has ever been through. Everyone have had tough time. They've had hard time. But if you actually in a position that, you know, that giving up wasn't an excuse, you definitely know that tomorrow is a day to look forward to. So keep grinding, keep working hard, keep trying your best. You know, look out to become better at what you do. If there is any particular cause that is giving you a time, open up to those that knows, to anyone that knows rather, ask them for help. And you will be surprised the amount of information you will get, the amount of help you will get. Because some people are just hanging around. They know it, but they're just waiting for you to ask. And I believe that you will succeed. As my brother will always say, you are the best. Don't think anything less of yourself. You are the best. Any day, anytime, any hour, any moment. There is nothing impossible for you to do. It is all about mindset. There is nowhere you cannot get to. Once you believe, you will get there. Just keep doing the work. Keep doing what you know how to do. Keep praying. Keep learning. Don't be rigid. Be open to learning. Learn new things. Read, and you'll be surprised at the end of the day. You will definitely get there. If you don't give up, you will definitely get up. That's my final words for you this evening. And I
Amazing.
believe you will find help. Thank you very much.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you so much. I was thinking to we need the drum rolls at this point. Drum rolls, drum rolls. Let's hit
Thank
the
you.
drum rolling, because you've really done well. Thank you so much. And that is
Thank
a
you.
wrap for each and every one of us. I know that when it comes to the Valentine's Day, 14th day of February, a lot of people have it, spend it with their loved ones and all of that. But I wanted to bring our perspective to, it is only when you love yourself that you can love others. In fact, the Holy Book
That's
says,
right.
love your neighbor as yourself, meaning to the degree that you love yourself. And one of such self love has to do with taking responsibility for your life and moving yourself to the
That's right.
next level that God intended for you to be. With that, I would say it's a wrap from our end, and it's a wrap here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, so much, so much. So,
Thank you.
we would, before I end, I just want to tell you that you are the best. Don't settle for less. He has shared a lot of things. Please put it at the back of your heart and pursue it. God bless you richly. I believe anyone who would come across this would really be blessed. And God bless you too for so much that you have released to us today. Thank you so much.
And you too, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Have
Thank
a
you very
nice
much. Have a wonderful evening, sir.